Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV in the Avalon Theater. And our first guest, I suspect, really needs no introduction to the community, but I'm going to do it anyway. It is a great privilege and joy and honor to have Mayor Willey with us, Mayor of Easton, who is completing his fifth term as mayor of this city and starting a campaign for your sixth term. And yes. I think that's wonderful. And, you'll do it till you get it right. No, you've done.
So I've been told.
No, Mr. Mayor, glad to have you, and thank you so much. A number of things to talk about. First, let's talk about what's going on, what you see, what's important headed on down the road for us as the community, and then we'll talk about other things.
Okay, a couple of rather large-scale projects taking place as we speak. One is in the south section of Easton, right there by the high school football field. As you know, one of the problems that we've talked about for years is stormwater drainage in the town. And we've renovated a couple of the stream beds already in town that have helped drainage immensely.
Wonderful.
And we're now into the third project on stream beds, and that's the stream that runs behind the football field, behind Bridge Street, and empties out down at the pump station down on South Washington. That project is underway, and it's quite a Herculean task. They're dredging that stream. They're putting in rock bulkheads. They're cutting out old trees and what have you. So it's really a first-class project taking place.
How long do you think that's going to last? I mean, not last. How long will it take? Rather?
They started just a few weeks ago, and they've got until the first part of March to finish up. They won't finish in time. But they have to be out of the stream beds during the spawn season. And they out during the spawn season, then they can come back at a later date and finish it up.
Right.
So I would think the whole process will probably go into early fall they'll have it done.
Wow, that's very cool. Very interesting.
Talk a little bit about outdoors. As you know, we're under great pressure for athletic fields.
Yep.
Parks and just general outdoor habitat where people can go and enjoy themselves. We have a project now that's on Oxford Road that's in excess of 200 acres that has to be a passive park. And it's a partnership that we're working on with Talbot County and also the state of Maryland.
Excellent.
To purchase this property. The town and the county have each come up with a sum of money to help out, and then the bulk of it is coming from the state's project open space funding.
I think I know where that is, by the way.
Yeah, it's right out your back door.
Exactly.
But if you look at that property, there's like 160 some acres of woodland, and there's about 40 acres of just open field at this point.
I was led to believe that some of the tree areas are restricted or in some way.
There's a lot of wetlands involved,
wetlands, yes.
So it doesn't lend itself to development of residential properties and so forth. But what it does is it allows us to take an area that's what they term as pristine forest, that's in excess of a couple hundred years old. And if you were to clear cut it, you'll never see it again. Not many of us are going to live to be 200 years old. So if you look closely at it now, you would never see those trees back up. And there's a fair number of people in the area that are very excited about having just a passive park. Hiking trails, picnic areas, just places where you can go and enjoy the outdoors.
I have to tell you, and this is true, you've been to Temple, you've been to my office. From the sanctuary, we have the windows that look right out into that area.
Yes.
I see eagles and deer and all kinds of natural wonders, birds of all kinds, all the time. I cherish that. So
well, and next week you'll see us out there with some representatives from the DNR and also the
Okay.
federal government, just to show them what we're talking about and
Good.
what could go on there.
Good.
No development other than hiking paths and
Excellent.
picnic areas.
Excellent.
And the area that's now clear land will eventually be seeded and woodland again. And that would make a buffer between the proposed project at Poplar Hill Farm right
Yes.
there by the temple
Yes.
and Cook's Hope.
Excellent.
And
That's good to
it
know.
just gives us 200 plus acres of place you can go and just sit down and read a book if you
Well-
want, or like you say, go watch the wildlife.
Yeah, and I mean, that's good for the community, it's good for the town, it's good for all of us.
And it gets rid of that stigma that we're building on every square inch of land that you
Yeah.
do. We do have open space.
I know we do.
And as we talk about Poplar Hill, that's undergoing the site process now. And that'll also have about 50 acres of open space there.
Yes.
Which will be for more of the fields like lacrosse,
Right.
field hockey, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
soccer, yeah, good.
Plus, we're also looking at a substation for the fire department. And you guys have been up to visit to
Yes.
see what that's all about.
We visited and you were there, and yeah, that's we're excited about that, actually.
Because if you look at the future growth of Easton, it's gonna be towards the southeast, over by the State Police Barracks and the
Yeah.
Armory, in that direction. And also in the north end of town, northeast and northwest corners where the hospital was projected to go.
Yes. Yeah.
So that side of Route 50 is gonna be undergoing a lot of change.
Oh, and it's amazing. I mean, what's projected and what, under your leadership, and I'm not being gratuitous, I mean, you had vision. You know, one of my favorite sayings in the book of Proverbs is, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yep.
And your vision has kept us from perishing.
We ought to flourish.
We will, we will.
And hopefully, these projects are all first class. They're well thought out. People have been given a chance to air their opinions and see what they like about them and what they don't like, and we try to make corrections and
Good.
make everybody happy, which is impossible.
Well,
That's where you come in.
yes, I'll do my best, but don't, I no promises. Another question that I want to talk about is the whole question of plastic bags. I think, you know, I may have mentioned, in my high school years, I worked in a plastic factory that made plastic bags. And so I have, I'm not gonna say plastic bags are dear to my heart, but nevertheless, the process is interesting. And I know that we have a problem, and they can be a real issue, a
Right, and
conservation issue.
It's not all the fault of the plastic bags, but if you ride around town on any given day and look at some of the open fields, some of the stormwater ponds, the ditches and so forth, they're loaded with plastic bags. People just don't pick them up. You finish with what you're doing and throw it to the side. They don't degrade, they're there forever, just
Right,
about.
oh, yeah.
And the deal is that by April 2nd, I think is the date, that single-use plastic bags will be phased out in the town of Easton. There will be some agony and some wringing of the hands and so forth, but I think we can get through this. But if we were out this morning looking at some of the other stuff that needs to have attention paid to it, and any pond that we went by had bags in it all around, and the wildlife eats it, you know, that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So
And there's from my perspective, there's another component of that, and maybe we can do something to teach people to be more sensitive to the environment and not just throw stuff out the
Yep.
window. I was driving down the bypass the other night, or the other afternoon actually, on my way back from a meeting to the office, and the car in front of me opened the right-hand window, and I don't know who it was, but threw a whole box of beer cans and potato chip packages and empty one. And I just went, my gosh.
and chances are the beer cans were recyclable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, all of it's recyclable on some level, but, you know, that's just, it's not.
Well, again, it's something that you don't like to make a rule for everything.
Right.
But if people would just pay attention to what they were doing and use a little common sense,
Wow.
we wouldn't be at this point now.
Yeah, you know, and of course, as an old Eagle Scout, the whole notion of you don't litter and you don't, you recycle and throw out, that's, anyway. Another question. This time, you are completing your 5th term,
Yes,
and you're going to run again for the 6th term,
yes.
which I'm delighted by, and most of us are. You've done, obviously, it's been a successful several terms. Tell us about your vision and share a little about your goals and that sort of thing as you go into the next term.
Well, as we go into the next term, it's kind of odd that the town engineer was bemoaning the fact a few years ago that he didn't think he had enough to do. So I started making a list of projects we had and stopped at 53. So in the last 2 years, we've completed some of those projects, but believe it or not, we're past 53 again that
Wow.
have got to be done.
Wow.
So there's a lot of good stuff going on in the town of Easton, and I'm beating down some of the naysayers who say, well, he's too old to run again. Well, old doesn't enter into it at this point.
Exactly.
And you're looking at a county and that's one of the highest median ages in the state. So evidently there's a lot of us older people around. So I want to carry the flag for them, if you will. Then the other notion I get is that we're not coming up with any good ideas. Bad. When I first got on the council, Easton was on its heels. We were out of dollars. We didn't have any reserves. We were short-term borrowing and so forth. So since that time, we've got the highest financial rating that you can get.
Wow.
We have money in the bank. We have a rainy day fund. We have lots of good things going on, and we're just going to keep on going.
That's under your leadership in a lot of it, and I certainly know in the time that I've been here, which is now pushing close to 20 years, which is hard to believe, the growth, the amelioration, the sophistication has been profound, and it's felt by everybody.
Yeah. And we have some great people that have come to town and have had projects
Absolutely.
that they've put forth,
Absolutely.
and they've all turned out to be very well done.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it makes it a wonderful place to live and continue to. I'm honored to participate in the community in so many ways. So, but your leadership, and I'm not being political. I'm just as an observer. Your leadership has been profound, and I hope you get to continue it.
I hope so too.
Yeah, me too.
If not, I'll be out to the temple, see if he needs.
Well, you can
part-time
preach.
work.
You can preach every Friday or every Saturday. Not a problem.
Okay. I know I tried that one night out there with Peter Francho when he was down.
Have sermon will travel. It's not a problem. Anything else you want to share with the community?
No, I think I've taken enough of your time. I'd like to come back again
Always.
another
Always.
month or so.
Absolutely.
And we'll chat again about this.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you at the Rabbi's Roundtable. We've been speaking with the mayor of our town, Mayor Robert Willey, and Mayor Willey has told us about projects that are taking place and things that have been completed, and the fact that he is running again for a 6th term. We wish you luck, and we will have you back.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. And Easton, we will be back momentarily.
The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by Easton Hardware and Floor Covering. Since 1939, we're still there and we still care. Did you know? MCTV programming is available online. Find our shows like Rabbi's Roundtable, Carlisle's Chesapeake, The Shameless Picture Show, Conversations with Sherry, and the Avalon Theater Presents at youtube.com/Midshore Community Television.
And we are back, and you are seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV in the basement of the Avalon Theater. And my next guest is Dina Kilman. And Dina is the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the Easton Economic Development Corporation, the EEDC.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And thank you for being here. This is not your first time at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
No, we were here last month talking
I know.
about the Fire and Ice.
I know.
Yes.
And so what's coming up next?
So Chesapeake Fire and Ice.
Oh, how unusual.
If you hold up your piece of paper, the back of it is a poster. So that's February
Oh, I have it on my
17th and
desk,
18th.
yes.
There you go. And we are looking for everyone to come out and enjoy it. It's free. There'll be a few streets blocked off just near the biggest part of the festival. There'll be an ice skating rink that's free to anyone. There'll be beautiful ice sculptures all over town,
Yep.
and hopefully food and drink specials that we can talk about. Maybe I don't know if there'll be another one before then, but that will be going on, as well as live music all throughout downtown.
Cool.
And,
Excellent.
yeah, fire juggler. I mean,
Oh, yes. Tell us about your background. Where are you from originally, and where'd you go to college, and how did you get into what you're doing now?
So I'm from North Carolina, so I went to UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, nice.
Yes, but it was very fun. But I first heard about the Chesapeake Bay because I did my 9th grade thesis on James Michener. So I read Chesapeake and
Sure.
thought it sounded like a wonderful place. So I visited a few times, and then I met my husband in Chapel Hill, and there you go. He was from St. Michael's, Maryland. So
Really?
That's when I decided we were getting married. And it's really that simple. That was 32 years ago.
Well, it's funny because I always tell people, they ask me, how did you get here? And I always say by great good fortune,
Yeah.
because I had never known anything about the Eastern Shore, although I grew up in northeastern Connecticut and on the water and sailed and all that. And they asked me to come and interview, and I was coming down, and it was the end of the middle of the summer, and I was passing soybean patches and cornfields, and I'm thinking,
Where's
oh
the
God,
water?
yeah. I said, what am I gonna do? And I came here, and I was blown away.
Yeah,
Everybody
beautiful.
has boats and sails, and I always say that the first course I ever taught at the temple, I taught a course on knot tying and how to splice, because I was doing that since I was 10 years old.
They put you right to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So let me ask this, just so people know, although I think they do, but it's good to reiterate. Tell us what the EEDC does, the Easton Economic Development Corporation does.
Yeah, so lots of things. So we are contracted by the town of Easton to do a lot of your community events in addition to economic development. So
Right.
obviously we help businesses coming into town understand, if there's a permit they need to file, or if there's an office they need to contact, they can call us
Yep.
and we can help them out with that. We also, though, run your community events. So your holiday parade, your St. Patrick's Day parade, our Fire and Ice that's coming up. Lots of the events we either run or help others coordinate. So there are other things that we are not in control of, like waterfowl.
Right.
That has its own
Right,
organization.
right.
But we do help people understand what's happening when that's going on. We do publicize that, so we help market the town of Easton. So even though it may not be under our control, we also are partnering with all of the other organizations that are doing these events.
I tend to think, from my perspective, that is so important. And I think the EEDC has been remarkably successful.
Yes, we were doing a pretty good job during
Well,
COVID.
more than a pretty good job. Growing up in a jewelry store, I said this, much like a store that the Shearers have in Connecticut, I've seen what the EEDC does in town, and that's a benefit for us as citizens.
Absolutely. We work on behalf of everyone, and that's another thing people
Sure.
are asking us, who do you work for? Well, we are contracted by the town of Easton to represent all the businesses in Easton. One of the things we're working on now is beautification of the streets, like ordering more trash cans and helping people access some grant funding for some things.
The signs that are up, the
Banners.
banners.
We run the banners.
I was looking at it the other day.
Can't forget
just-
we run the
they're
banners, because that's a
wonderful.
complicated project,
I
believe it or
know,
not.
I know, but it's
there were
terrific.
almost, I want to say there's 180 or some polls. I
Yeah,
can't
there's
remember how
a
many,
lot.
but there's a lot.
There are a lot of
So
them.
we accept those applications, we sort it all out, we make sure they're allowed, allowable
Sure.
images, and get that to the town, make sure that schedule's running,
Yeah.
we take them down and put them up. So that's just one thing we do, but yes.
So how can members of the community be helpful? Can we be supportive?
Absolutely. So some people don't know this, that those events are free to our community. So the St. Patrick's Day Parade, putting up of the banners, again, there's no
Wow,
charge.
yeah.
Public Works does that, but the coordination of it is free. The Easter egg hunt is free, Chesapeake Fire and Ice is free, but we are asking for people who would like to support, if you want to be a sponsor of any of those events, we will happily incorporate you
okay,
into
yeah.
that sponsor family, put your logo on everything,
Sure.
tell everyone, you're a great business.
Monetary donations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a place on our website, discovereaston.com, or you can call one of us and
Sure.
ask how you can help. Just one thing we need 4,000 Easter eggs. So just that right there.
Sorry,
Somebody
I can't help you.
Somebody wants to pick that up. I'm just saying, that's coming up soon.
I'll talk to Father Nash and see what he can
There
do.
you go. If he wants to have all the kids stuff Easter eggs,
Yeah,
or all
I can
don't
give you
know,
boxes
Sunday
of
school
matzah.
class.
I can give you boxes of matzah.
They fit in the little eggs.
Yeah, please don't ask.
But that's just one of the things we look at.
Yeah.
We look at St. Patrick's Day coming up. That parade is coming up. How do we get involved in that? You could be in the parade. You could sponsor the parade.
And just the community members just need to call. What's the phone number?
Our phone number we don't use. We like to go info@eastonedc.com.
That's fine. Info@edc.com.
That way we can track you coming in and we can track you coming out.
Perfect. Okay. Talk a little bit about Discover Easton.
That is a branding initiative. So
Okay.
basically, Easton Economic Development Corporation is a 501c3.
Right.
Discover Easton is a brand. So we are your tourism brand for the town of Easton.
Okay.
So when we advertise and market into the greater region, that's the brand we use.
And so if I'm telling somebody to come in who's visiting for the first time, I can say, just Google this.
DiscoverEaston.com.
DiscoverEaston.com. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. And what's there? What will they find?
Current events, everything happening that we're aware of in the town of Easton, all kinds of listings for your businesses, for your hotels, for your merchants. You can see who's open, who's closed. It's a living document of sorts. So people put in, like Shearer, to your example, he's open this many days a week, and if you log in at midnight, it'll show that Shearer is closed.
Okay.
If you log in at Wednesday at 10 a.m., it'll show that he's open or whatever.
Interesting. Is there any history about the town?
There is a little bit. Yeah, and we're actually pumping that up. It's interesting you asked that. We're
That's
actually pumping
important.
that up. We're working on a project to help name some of the parking lots in Easton. And one of the things we're working on is discovering Easton history. So we'd love people to reach out with stories. That would be wonderful.
Well, I actually think that's important for a multiplicity of reasons. First, somebody coming here for the first time may not know anything about Easton, the Eastern Shore, and this whole area. I don't know if you saw it the other night. I don't remember. It may have been on public television. There was a whole documentary about Frederick Douglass. It was brilliantly done, but focused a lot on his youth and his upbringing right here.
Absolutely.
And I thought, wow, that's very cool. And this is, I think, very important that when somebody logs in to see where they're going, they have some sense of
We've
that.
got a link to the Talbot Historical Society on there, as well
Oh,
as a
good.
list of events for African American History or Black History Month. There's actually a list of local events happening, and some of them are in Frederick Douglass focus.
Oh no, I think. Well, listen, he was. He's a hero of mine. So he was articulate and wrote brilliantly, and I've quoted him and sermons.
There's lots of stuff going on this month about it.
Yeah.
So-
And so that's important, that people know who came from here, and
Right,
what is
exactly.
here, and what the history is. In terms of Discover Easton, is there a cost to join or anything?
No, it's totally free. So
Totally
again, if you have an event you want to publicize, or if you need our support, or if you want to support our marketing and be in our marketing, you're offering a special at your restaurant or store, just let us know and we'll put it out on our social media for you, and there's no cost at all. It's available to anyone in the town of Easton.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anything else you want to share with the community that we didn't touch
That's
upon?
it. Just go to
That's it.
discovereaston.com and check us out.
Yep, discovereaston.com, and check out the Easton Economic Development Corporation, everybody, because it's a very cool institution. Thank you. We've been talking with Dina Kilman, who is the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the Easton Easton Economic Development Corporation. Thank you for being here. You will come back.
Of course, of course.
Holly we'll get back to Holly when she wants to come back and really talk about what is going on with the community and what we can look forward to. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
You've been seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. The end of January, early February. It is the end of January, right? I think so. Yeah, I lost track of time. Anyway, we will see you next time, Easton, on the Rabbi's Roundtable.